Are you interested in adding note-taking skills to have more confidence in your overall interpretation practice? Are you ready? Because note-taking skills will support you beyond your imagination. I know this firsthand because there was a time in which I have no note-taking skills at all. Then I got some note-taking skills that helped me move forward and pass my oral exam. And beyond that, eventually, I developed my own note-taking system that supports me when I am confronted with very difficult interpretation assignments, and also to avoid mental fatigue. So my name is Catalina Natalini, and I am CEO and coach at Interpreter Success Academy. And today I'm going to share with you 3 myths about note-taking that are very well known about note-taking. So the first one is it's all about memory. There are very different dimensions to memory. The one type of memory is the memory that we call rote memory, in which we just remember things by heart, right? And then there is this other dimension of memory, which is the memory of what we understood. When I guide my students in note-taking, I help them strengthen their rote memory, but I also help them dive fully into this very much more expansive memory, which is the memory of what we understood, because it's the most natural type of memory and something that we do every day. On the other hand, the memory, the rote memory, it tends to get harder and harder as we age, right? We can maintain, but it's very hard to really become really good at it as we age, because it demands a lot of effort from our brain. The second myth is I need to note-take everything. Anybody there? I've been there. I thought I had to take notes of everything, just like dictation. But note-taking is nothing like that. In fact, recalling or calling back everything that you have heard and all the information that you have processed, that recalling, that calling back of all that information is an interplay between memory, your notes, your language skills, and your knowledge of the context. All that contributes to recalling. When we tap into our memory, we tap into our memory at different levels. Rote memory, as I mentioned, the memory of what we remember, but also we tap into our visual memory, our auditory memory, and our our whole sensory memory. Not only that, the knowledge of the context, your language skills and the knowledge of the context is going to support you in remembering and to, most importantly, filling the blanks for all the little details that come along with your interpretation. How is that sitting with for you? Are you kind of relaxed? Isn't it such a relaxed moment when we know that we don't have to note-take everything, that we have many other supports, aids, cognitive skills that can help us in recalling what we heard. And note-taking is just a very important component of all these elements that contribute to us bringing back the information and putting it into our target language. And myth number 3, you ready? Myth number 3 is I need to memorize a long list of acronyms and symbols. I need to memorize a long list of acronyms and symbols. Well, here's the thing. That is not true. I'm not saying that symbols and abbreviations are not important. They are important and they have a place in our note-taking. But they are not everything. That's what I'm saying. They are not everything. And most importantly, you don't need to memorize a long list that somebody gives you, or a long list that belongs to somebody else. Because here's the thing. What I advise my students is to first tap into their abbreviations and symbols that they already know, that they already use in their daily life, and many of those symbols that also come from their field of studies. Whatever experience in whatever field they have had is polluted with abbreviations and symbols that can be brought into your note-taking. Isn't that wonderful? I think it's amazingly wonderful. The other thing is that you can borrow abbreviations and symbols. I have borrowed many from all my peers. But this is more a trial error thing, that you will borrow and you will try them. And if they don't go really well, then you might modify them or completely drop them. So you will keep only what works for you and complements what you already have. Because nothing can replace what is already familiar and known to you. And when you start looking at symbols and abbreviations from that space of what is familiar and known to you, it gets very easy. And I don't know about you, but I love it easy. I love it easy. So myth number 1, just to recap, it's all about the memory. Not true. Myth number 2, I need to take notes of everything. Not true. And myth number 3, I need to memorize a long list of abbreviations and symbols. That is absolutely not true and not necessary. And I want you to take a deep breath now and say it out, because note-taking can be easier than you can ever imagine. And if you are interested in really bringing these skills into your daily work as an interpreter, I tell you that you have a lot to gain from it. It will help you with your focus, make you much more efficient in your interpretation, and definitely much more accurate and complete in your interpretation. So I hope this helps you overcome whatever uneasiness you have about note-taking, and also get a little more encouraged towards developing your own note-taking. And that this allows you to fully dive into moving and learning more about note-taking with a beginner's mind. Because when we get rid of all those myths, what we have is a plain beginner's mind. And that is the most beautiful thing a student can bring to a classroom. And that's the thing that I welcome the most as a teacher and as a coach.